Hello, everyone. My name is Trae Winter, and I'm the co-founder and chief scientist for the Advanced Research and Inclusion and STEAM Accessibility, or ARISA Lab. STEAM standing for Science, Technology, Engineering, Arts, and Math, because we think all of that is very important. We are currently a NASA partner for this project, and I will be representing myself, but also the co-founder of ARISA, Mary Kay Severino, who also acts as our education director, who unfortunately has come down with COVID, and I just got a text that her fever's come back. So she will not be able to attend this workshop or the other ones that we're doing in Texas and the surrounding area, unfortunately. So I'm here to tell you about the Eclipse Soundscapes Participatory Science Project. This is a NASA-sponsored project, and I'm supposed to press the one with the nub, which is not that one. It's that one. It's the down. I'll get it eventually. I'm a scientist. I can be taught. So the Eclipse Soundscapes project started in 2017, and we have a map of the 3 eclipses that have happened in a ridiculously short period of time in the US. The 2017 eclipse, the October 14th annular eclipse, which is coming up, and the April 8th, 2024 eclipse. So Eclipse Soundscapes will have participated in all these eclipses. And thank you so much, Michael Zeiler, for letting us use your maps on our website. These have been a tremendous resource, and we've been sharing it and your website to the greater community. I cannot thank you enough. But in February of 2017, I was working with people who are blind, visually impaired, including Dr. Wanda Diaz-Merced. And I was charged by NASA to help make the eclipse, help engage the American public in the eclipse with a special focus on people who traditionally are underrepresented. And there's no group that is more underrepresented in astronomy than people who are blind, low vision. So that was the group that we decided to try to work with. And I told a story about a friend of mine's first eclipse experience. And just a question, when Kate was showing that movie, and it was like at the night, and he was explaining it, the tarp, you saw the moon, but what did you hear? Crickets. You heard crickets everywhere. A friend of mine experienced the 1999 eclipse in the UK, and he said that when totality began, the field that he was in was completely quiet, and then all of a sudden it erupted in a chorus of crickets. He says, like somebody turned on a cricket switch. And then at third contact, when the eclipse had kind of started, the first rays of sun, it was like somebody turned that switch off. And when a colleague of mine who is blind asked me what an eclipse was like, and I was delivering the great thermoform tactile books to her library at the time, but she asked me what it's actually like, and I couldn't think of a non-sighted way to explain it, but I remembered that story. And so I conveyed that story. That story had impact to her, and I, being a nerd, went down and the research path. I found out that almost 100 years ago, a scientist named Wheeler did what I think is the first citizen science experiment and published. Now, we say citizen science, think citizen of the world, not citizen of a particular country. And we're advocating for participatory science because we want everybody to participate. But what the scientist Wheeler did was just put ads in the newspaper and asking for people to watch and observe the natural world and send back their observations to them, and they would publish it. And what we learned from this, again, maybe that way, is that eclipses are not just a visual experience, which we all think of, right? People sent back not only, how their landscape changed, but they heard changes in bees and crickets and some animals. They also reported the temperature changes that they felt. So eclipses are a multi-sensory experience, and that's one of the things that we really try to promote, so that whatever senses are available to you, or whatever senses mean the most to you or speak the loudest to you, those are the senses that you can engage with during an eclipse. So we have made several ways to have people participate in the Eclipse Soundscapes project, and we've created a series of different roles. Now, we are a NASA citizen science project, which means that we have to do science, and our purpose is to engage the general public and not just learning about science, but doing the science with us, actually having an active role in that science. And the science that we're doing is trying to understand how eclipses impact wildlife on Earth, but particularly wildlife during these during these eclipse times. And I love that because I know that astronomy is important to life, right? We are all star stuff. We are made of dead stars, but that's kind of a hard leap to make to a lot of people. During the eclipses, people will actually experience how something out there affects life here. And that is a powerful teaching moment. So in order to have people engaged with the science, we've made several different roles. And again, this goes to our inclusionary focus because not everybody's going to be able to participate in the same way. So we have an apprentice role, which is an online education role. This is made with in-school educators to try to make sure that scientists like myself don't muck it up with big fancy words. I had a lot of student loans for those words, so I use them a lot. But they're not great for communication. So that's free, that's online, anybody can use that. We have what's called the observer role, where you can actually, it's a guided experience where you can actually just kind of be still and present in the moment during the eclipse and record your observations of what changes during the eclipse. And that gives you a direct connection to that Wheeler study. We have a data collector role, which I'll be talking about more in just a second. And then in 2024, we'll have another role where once we've collected all this data, we'll have members of the public help us analyze it and work with scientists to actually publish meaningful scientific papers. So the data collector role is actually a little bit more quantitative data, right? We want to measure the changes of animals, the impact of the eclipse on animals. And we're doing that using this new science called Soundscapes ecology. And it's a branch of science where you can actually learn about the health of a habitat and wildlife that lives in it by studying the sounds. And if you are one of the people that gets a kit, and everybody can apply for a kit for the 2024 eclipse, everything that you need to participate comes in the kit. So you get an audio moth, which is a recorder, and this is part of that open source, so I'll talk about that a little bit more. You get a very sophisticated piece of equipment to protect the audio moth. It's called a Ziploc bag. But you get that, and it's got this little thing to let everybody know that science is being done, do not disturb. You get zip ties, you get 3 AA batteries. There is a memory card that's already inserted in the audio moth, and you get a return mailer. And this is one of the powerful things, I think, of our project, is that once you're finished collecting the data, you get to keep the data recorder. All that we ask you to do is to pop out the little data clip and send that back to us in the mailer. And that's us trying to leave value in place. And we are going to be directing all the participants to other citizen science projects that also focus on sound collection. And we're also hoping that the libraries that we're partnering with will use this in their library of things to lend out and can come up with their own experiments. And I'm running far behind time, so I'm going to try to catch up. So these audio moths are the open source piece of technology that I think is the cool tech. When we worked with the National Park Service in 2017, they used $10,000 recorders. These cost, and they're great, but these cost less than $100, and they're about 80% as good. So it means that we can afford to give these out to people. It's hard to actually get the real cost because these aren't on Amazon or anything. So there's a couple of sites where you can get them, or since they're completely open source, what I'm excited about is that all the documentation is online so that you can make them yourself if you've got a makerspace or want to do that. Sorry, there's a boo-boo on this, but these are heavily used, so there's some infrastructure around them. And but the problem is that they're not accessible. So we actually went through, oh, this is where I'm supposed to give the talk. So we actually went through and we added these little items called bump dots to them. And I think this is the older version. So these bump dots, yeah, sorry, I updated my talk and this is not. So these are actually little things that you can buy on your favorite online web store. They're made for keeping cabinets from slamming, but they come in all shapes and sizes, and people who are blind and low vision actually use these for wayfinding. So we actually worked with the National Federation of the Blind and a consultant of ours who's blind from the very beginning, because you don't want to do this at the end. You want to start with accessibility in mind, and came up with the best ways to put these on. But the more challenging part is the instructions that went with it. And I'm going over time, so I'll wrap this up quickly. But the instructions are the hard part. So I'm willing to talk to you more later about that. I just want to share this quick resource called webaim.org. We made everything a website accessible, and that's sometimes challenging for people to do, but there's a free online tool so that you can test your stuff. And I highly recommend everybody use it, but that's a great starting point, but I wouldn't suggest that that be the end point. We have lots of great resources, and I'm willing to talk to you more, but we've made these resources with educators in mind. So everything has NGSS standards. There's content and language, there's language demand, there is the structure for it. There is differentiation if you need WIDA. So if you have English language learners, there's also all these different resources that can be used not just by formal educators, but also informal educators. So there's worksheets, handouts, all this stuff is accessible. It's made to be accessible, and it's on the website, and it's made to meet educators' needs specifically. Lots of things that you can actually do and learn about for your events. And I'll just leave this up here. So if you want more info, that QR code will take you to our site. And we've got lots of useful videos, and those videos are made with accessibility online. We have a YouTube channel, so they have video information, they have audio information, and they also have closed captioning and text information. And that's our core of putting all of the information that you need to do the experiment in multiple different formats, in multiple different ways. So the way that works for you is available. And with that, I will take any questions, or are we going to wait till questions to the end? But that's our project. I ran through it kind of quickly, so please feel free to come up and talk with me. Like I said, there's ways to participate in the annular Eclipse, but we don't have any more kits. I made 215 of these kits by my own little dainty hands and sent them out to libraries and National Federation of Blind chapters. So we're out for the annular, but there's more to come for the total. But everybody can participate in the observer role. I'm